I have, I have a mana in your possession. And he replied before witnesses, yes. On the next day, when he said to him, give it to me, the other replied, I gave it to you. He is exempt. But if he replied, you have nothing in my possession, he is liable. I have a mana in your possession, and he replied, yes. To which the other responded, do not give it to me except before witnesses. On the next day, when he said to him, give it to me, the other replied, I gave it to you. He is liable because he's required to give it to him with witnesses. I have a liter of gold in your possession, and the other replies, you have in my possession only a liter of silver. He is exempt. But if he claims, I have a dinner of gold in your possession, and the other replies, you have in my possession only a dinner of silver or a trissus or a pundum or a putra, he is liable because all coins are of one type. I said before that it has a liter of gold, which would be a lot, I guess.
Yes.
You didn't catch that. I'm surprised.
No, liter, whatever.
Right.
I was really wondering, like, exactly how much would a liter of gold be worth? That's like that's a liter is about an ingot, right? Or at least not an ingot. An ingot is much bigger, but a bar.
I don't know.
It could be a bar of gold possibly displaces about a liter.
No.
That, by the way, is one of the fun things that we did in South Africa. You go to a gold mine, and they show you the process of smelting the gold, and
right.
and then they pull out a gold bar and put it on the table for everyone, and they say if anyone can pick this up with one hand, they can keep it.
No one did anyone do it?
So like, guys, obviously, like, it's seriously heavy. First of all, you can't get a grip on it because it's got that wedge shape. But you can't actually get a proper grip on the thing, and even if you could, it's just
you have big hands, though.
Even if you got big hands, even if you got nobody's got hands big enough to hold around a bar of gold, like not that comes out of the. This is like a gazunta piece like this.
Really? Oh my.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
I have a core of grain in your possessions, and the other replies, you have in my possession only a less of beans. He is exempt. But if he claims, I have a core of produce in your possession, and the other replies, you have in my possession only a leash of beans, he is liable, since beans are included in produce. If he claimed from him wheat and he admitted to him barley, he is exempt. No, don't place over. He is exempt, but Rabbi Gamil declares him liable. I have to get him out of here. Okay, he's going to destroy us. Come on, you're very nice, but you have. If one claims jars of oil from another and he admits to him the jars, Admon says, since he has admitted to him a part of the kind of the claim, he must swear. But the comment said that admission is not of the kind of the claim. Rabbi Gamil says, I see Admon's view. If he claimed from him utensils and land, and he admitted the utensils but denied the land, for he admitted the land and denied the utensils, he is exempt. And if he admitted part of the land, he is exempt. Part of the utensils, he is liable, because property which cannot have a lien on it causes one to swear concerning property which can have a lien on it. There is no oath in response to the claim of a deaf mute, a mentally deranged person, or a minor. And we cannot impose an oath on a minor, but one swear to a minor and about consecrated property. Okay.
Mishna, hey, so here are things that the oath of Modid Miktsas does not apply to at all, and it's the usual four suspects over here: Avadim, slaves, shtaros, documents, karkaos, landed property, vehekdesh, and hekdesh. So all of these things, as we've seen in many different places, these four stand separately. They've got a different way of kinyan. They've got, well, hekdesh is different, but avadim, shtaros, and karkaos are usually go together, and hekdesh has been added on as well. So these things, that if a person is modim memektas, he doesn't have to take a shivua. Okay, and furthermore, if somebody steals one of these things and he's caught, he doesn't pay the double restitution. And if it was an ox, say, of hekdesh, that he was stolen and he slaughtered it or sold it, he doesn't pay the 4 or 5-fold payments. Right? Those knasos do not apply to our categories here. Shomer chinam eno nishba. If somebody was looking after one of these things for nothing, then and it got damaged, then he doesn't need to take an oath to say that it wasn't his fault. And even a paid custodian does not have to pay if it was stolen on his watch.
Mm.
Okay. Rabbi Shimon disagrees. He says there's a subtlety here. Rabbi Shimon Omer, if there was something kodesh that you have to replace. So, for example, if somebody says Hare Alai, so a guy says Hare Alai Olah, and then he sets aside an animal for his Olah. Now he's got an achrayus for this thing. So if it gets lost, he has to replace it because he's got a personal obligation to bring in Olah. Okay, so in that case, it's considered like mammon of the owner, because if it gets lost, he has to replace it, and therefore, if it's considered mammon of the owner, nishbain alehem, then a shomer who lost it or whatever, it does have to take an oath on it. And however, if it was a harezor, it was just he said this animal's an olah. Then he's not. There's no achrayus on it, and then he agrees with the chachamim. However, the chachamim say that once it's hekdesh, all the same rules apply whether there's achrayus and not achrayus, and halacha follows the chachamim. Okay, Mishna Vav. Rabbi Meir Omer, yesh dvarim shehen bakarka ve'enan kekarka. So there are some things that are in the ground but do not have the din of karka. But the rest of the chachamim disagree with him. So what are the cases that he's talking about? So you've got 10 grapevines. So the claim is that I gave you 10 laden grapevines to look after, says the claimant. This is what are you talking about? There were only 5. So it sounds like a mod of a miktas, but it was already laden with grapes. So Rabbi Meir is saying that so the grapes that were ripe and ready for picking are considered as, even though they're still connected to the ground, it's considered a mod of a miktas, and he has to swear that there were only 5 vines. Okay. Rabbi Meir Mechayev Shevuos v'chachamim omrim kol hamechuber lekarka harehu kekarka. They say that in this particular case, even though it's connected to the ground, it's still like ground. Now, it's only in this particular case that Chachamim hold that the grapes are actually considered like the mechuber lekarka. I mean, there are other things that it's mechuber lekarka. For example, it's still immune to tumah. It can't become tumah while it's connected to the ground. And but nonetheless, if, for example, an animal came and ate it, instead, if an animal, if like a mazik, so you had a mazik coming in and destroying them, then they're treated as if they are already harvested, and they're paying the nezik put to the grapes, not the damage to the property. There was that whole cheshbon we did in one of the babas about if an animal did nezik, like went and ate the tulips or went and ate. Okay. So in that respect, ripe fruit is considered as if it's already separated.
And so in the previous couple of sentences, you said that he said I gave you 10, and he said no, you only gave me 5. And he says,
I asked you to look after a field with 10 after a kerem that had 10 vines in it. What happened to the other 5? Somebody came and uprooted them. Okay, and he said, "What are you talking about? They never were 10. There were only 5 in the first place." So basically, the owner is wanting to get payment for the 5 vines from the shomer.
Right. So it's the
he
owner.
He doesn't have to take a shvur on this.
And the owner's making a false claim.
Well, we don't know who's making the false claim. One of them is not telling the truth.
Right.
So we make the owner wants to make the shomer take a shvur. And the shomer says, but it's from the mechuber lekarka. I don't have to take a shvur, and he would be right.
Right. Okay.
Unless he's Rabbi Meir. Okay. Ein nishba'in ela al davar shebamida v'sheba mishkal v'sheba minyan. So you can only take an oath when the amount being claimed or denied is measurable. Either it's with a length or with a weight or with a count. Okay. Ketzad, a length, so not a length, but a midah is a measurement, is a volume or a volume, a weight, or a number. Ketzad, Okay, how do we see this in practice? Bias male masarti lach. I had a storehouse full of grain that I passed over to you. The kiss male masarti lach, or a full pouch I passed over to you. But hello, Omer. Any odea. He says, I don't know. I don't know what you gave me, but whatever's in here is what you gave me, and so take it. So they're not talking about specific measurements. So basically, he comes back to his storehouse and says, "What happened to the rest of the grain?" He says, "I don't know what happened to the rest of the grain. You gave me a storehouse. That whatever grain is in there is in there. That's it." He's not saying it was only I measured it and it was that much that you gave me. If he doesn't have a specific measure, then he doesn't have to take a shvua. Okay. Ze omer ad haziz v'ze omer ad hachalon. Says no, it was the storehouse was full up to this line over here. So what are you talking about? It was only up to the window. Now that's a measurement, even though it's not like a specific 1 core, 2 cores, or whatever of grain. He's nonetheless giving a measurable that it was up to the window. So now he's modiv miktsas. He admits that it was up to the window. Now he has to take an oath on the amount above that, because that would be chayim. Okay, you clear with that distinction?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, cool. Mishna zayin hamalve es chaveru ala mashkon v'aved mashkon. Okay, so here's a fun case. So a guy gives somebody else a loan, and he takes a security for the loan. Okay, so now the object, when a person takes a security for a loan, he is considered a shomer sachar on that object. He's getting a benefit for it. Either that there are a couple of ways of interpreting this. Either that he is because he's because the loan is a mitzvah, so he's got the schar mitzvah for giving the loan, and that's the benefit that he gets of holding on to this, or else it's simply that he now has leverage over his debtor.
Right.
He's got the mashkon. So whatever the case, he's getting some benefit from having this object. He's not a shomer chinam, he's a shomer sachar. He's getting a benefit from it, and therefore, if it is lost or stolen, then he's chayav. Okay. The only thing that he's not chayav for is an ones.
Okay. So the security that he received, if it's lost as a shomer, he's liable for that.
He's liable for that, right? So now he's going to be liable for it. So now comes the argument between the debtor and the creditor, as to what the objects are worth and how much versus the loan. Do we cancel out the loan or what? And we'll see how this is relevant to the modiv miktsas. Okay. Okay, so the object got lost, the security got lost. Amar lo. So the creditor says, Sela hilvisi alav. I lent you a seller. Just for this Mishna, let's just get our denominations right, because they don't work in metric. So I guess Americans would relate to this because it's kind of like like Harry Potter currency. 17 nuts to a sickle and 14 sickles to a galleon or whatever it is. Okay, so now the dinar or the zuz is the smallest unit that we're dealing with in this Mishnah, and 2 dinars is a shekel, and 2 shekels is a selah. So practice you've got 4 dinars in a selah.
Right. Okay.
So it says selah hilvi sicha alav. I lent you 4 dinars basically. The shekel hayashave, and the mashkon was worth 2. So he says, okay, fine. So you only owe me 2 shekels now. I grant you, I lost your mashkon, and now I want you to pay me 2. V'halomer lo, ki ela sela hilvisani alav v'sela hayshave. No, what you talking about? That mashkon was worth 4. Okay. So now effectively what's happening is that the creditor is claiming how much? He's claiming 2, and the debtor is saying, I owe you nothing. In other words, he's koker etakol. He says, I don't want anything. Does he have to take a shvua?
I would think that he would, but
But he doesn't, because if he does, he's only takes a shua if he admits part of it. He's not admitting anything now. He's saying, I owe you nothing. So since he's saying nothing, he doesn't have to take a shavua because he's denying everything.
Right.
But just by the way, one of the things we'll see later in the Mishnah is that there's also a chashash on the creditor, that he took a look at this mashkon and said, I like it. I think I'll keep it. I'll pay him out for it and I'll just keep it. Okay, but we'll see. So he's going to have to take an oath on that later if he wants to swear that it really was lost. Okay, anyway, but we'll catch up to that later. Sela he'll be sicha alav the shekel hayashave. So now, what if the creditor makes the same claim? It was worth. I lent you a seller, and the mashkon was worth a shekel. Hello, lochi ela seller he'll be sani alav. I agree, you lent me a seller. Shlosha dinarim hayashave. But the mashkon was worth 3 dinars. Okay, so now instead of claiming that it was worth a full seller, he's only saying that it's worth 3 dinars. In other words, he's saying you're right, but I only owe you 1 dinar. You're telling me I owe you 2 dinars. I'm saying I owe you 1 dinar. What do we got here? Whatever makes us chayav, because he's saying, yeah, I do owe you something. As soon as he says, yeah, I do owe you something, he has to take a shvua that the mashkon was worth as much as 3 dinars, not a shekel.
Let me go back, unless I skipped the part. It says on Vav Zion, it says, if he says to him, you lent me a seller on it and it was worth 2.
Yeah.
And the other one, not so. I lent you a seller on it and it was worth a seller.
So that was the first case. That was the first case where he's patur. And the second case is the same, except that the debtor says that actually no, my mashkon was worth
5 here.
dinars.
Oh, it says 5 dinars here.
That's the next case.
Oh, so all right. So he says, if you lent me a seller on it, it was worth 2. And the other one says, not so. I lent you a seller on it, and it was worth 5 dinars.
Okay, you're further on in the Mishnah.
All right.
We're dealing with the second case, which is where the claim the creditor says it was I lent you a seller and the mashkon was worth a shekel, so you owe me another shekel. And the debtor says no, the mashkon was worth 3 dinars, so all I owe you is a dinar, not a shekel. So there is a modi b'miktsas, and we say 5. Now comes the next case where he says seller he'll be sunny. I lent you a seller. Ushtayim hayashave, and the wait, beg your pardon. It's the Visani, beg your pardon. Now the claim goes in the other direction. Now the debtor is coming and saying, I want money from the creditor. Why? Because he says, you lent me a seller, but my mashkon was worth 2. So now you owe me a seller because you lost my mashkon. And the creditor says nonsense. Lo, he says I lent you a seller and the mashkon was worth a seller, so we'll call it quits. I owe you nothing. So here now the creditor is saying I owe you nothing. He's denying the whole thing. Pater, he doesn't have to take a shua. Okay, seller he'll be sani alav. Seller he'll be sunny alav. The ushtayim hayashave. So now in the fourth case, the debtor says you lent me a seller, and the mashkon was worth 2, so he's claiming a seller. The hala omer lochi ela seller he'll be sich alav v'chamisha dinarim hayashave. Says but the mashkon was only worth 5 dinars, not 2 seller. So he says I agree. I owe you 3. I owe you 1. I owe you 1 dinar, not 4 dinar. So there he's a modi b'miktsas. The creditor this time is a modi b'miktsas, and he's chayav to take a shvua. But as I mentioned before, they're going to be two shavuos involved over here. One is the modi b'miktsas, which we've been talking about all the time. But there are some cases where the creditor also has to swear that he really did lose the mashkon. Okay, because we suspect maybe he set his eyes on it and said, I like it, I'll just pay him out for it and I'll keep it. Okay, so you could have two cases. You could have a case where the debtor has to take a shvua because he's modeh b'miktsas and he wants to and he doesn't want to pay the whole amount. But the creditor also has to take a shvua because he's holding, he has to swear that the object was really lost. So let's take so what case is this? That's the second case in our Mishnah, where the creditor says, I lent you a seller, and the mashkon was only worth a shekel. And he says, no, the mashkon was worth 3 denarim. So now he's got to take a shvua as to what the mashkon was worth, and he's got to take a shvua that the mashkon was really lost. Now, who's going to take the first shvua? So that's the next question of the Mishnah. Who swears first? Misha pikadon etzlo. The first one to swear has to be the creditor. He has to swear that he really did lose the mashkon. Shema yishavazeh v'yotzi hala min hapikadon. Es hapikadon. Why? Because if you do it the other way around, let's say that the debtor says, okay, I take a shvua that the mashkon was really worth 3 denarim. 3 denarim, says the creditor. You know what? I didn't actually lose it. Here it is. Take a look at this and tell me if this is really worth 3 denarim. Okay, so now he's made the guy swear for nothing. So he's got to. So this is that's the situation we want to avoid. So we make the creditor swear first that he really did lose the mashkon, and then we make the debtor swear as to what the value was. Okay.
Still confusing. Okay. All
Sorry,
right.
if there's something confusing, maybe I haven't explained this well enough.
I'm sure you did. No, I'm sure you did. So I have to get the.
Is there what's the point that's confusing you?
I just got. I mean, I have to go through this with the sellers and the dinners and all that. I got mixed up in that, and I have to go look at it.
Okay, so what we could do is we can translate the whole thing into just dinarim. So we can talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, how many dinarim it is.
Right.
So in the case where everyone, in all of these cases, the thing that stays the same is that everyone agrees that the original loan was 4. It's 4 denarim.
Right.
Okay. So in case 1, the creditor claims that the mashkon was only worth 2. So therefore you owe me another 2. And in case 1, the debtor says, no, the mashkon was worth 4. I owe you nothing. Okay. And there would be pater. In case 2, the debtor claims that the mashkon was worth 3. So he's saying that he's admitting to 1, but he's saying I don't owe you 2, I owe you 1. Okay, so there he's a modeh b'miktsas and he has to take a shvua. Then come the second 2 cases where the creditor's on the back foot. Okay, where the debtor says you lent me 4. But my mashkon was worth 8. So you owe me 4 now. And the creditor says, no, the mashkon was worth 4. I owe you nothing. So if he's denying it all, he doesn't take a shvua. If, however, he admits, no, the mashkon was worth 5, he says, I owe you 1, not 4. He's a modeh b'miktsas. Once he's a modeh b'miktsas, he has to take a shvua. Okay. So then we had that discussion about who swears first, and that. Right. That the creditor has to swear first that he really did lose the mashkon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kazara. We have here we go. We have Gimel Yud Aleph.
Gimel Yud.
Right? Gimel Yud Aleph?
No, Yud.
Good. Okay. Do you hear talking a little bit in the background?
It's the drilling going on. I'm going to turn off my microphone.
That's okay. I heard some talking. I have new hearing aids, and I never wore them before. So I'm hearing this noise. The doctor and the audiologist said, you only use the very high frequencies. That's what you're missing. Only high frequencies. She said, but if you want, try it. If you like it, okay. If you don't like it, then you give it back. That's all. and you don't have to pay anything, So I said, all right, I'll give it a try for 2 weeks and see. But now I'm hearing other sounds. I thought I heard men talking, but all right. Thing is that these are Bluetooth and they're streaming, so I could put on music. It's all streaming and all that stuff. It's great. So
But that's so cool. So you can just turn on your phone and listen to music through your hearing aids.
right, it's great. So
That's pretty cool.
if I don't have to walk around my earpods all the time and all that stuff. The
Yeah.
other thing is that you get a phone call, you go like this, and it answers the phone. And if you want to pause the phone, if you want to empty the phone, just hold like that and empty it. It's really very good. Oh, it just made a beep. Okay.
Cool. You're one step away from becoming a cyborg.
I think they said I'm there already. So, all right. So we have good. The oath of utterance applies to both men and women, non-relatives and relatives, qualified persons and disqualified persons, both in court and out of court, but only by its own mouth. One is liable for its willful transgression to a penalty of lashes, and for its inadvertent transgression to a variable sin offering. The vain oath applies to both men and women, non-relatives and relatives, qualified persons and disqualified persons, in court and out of court, but only by his own mouth. One is liable for its willful transgression to a penalty of lashes, but for its inadvertent transgression, one is exempt. Both this and that, one who is adored by others is liable. How so? If one said, I have not eaten today, or I have not put on tefillin today, and the other said, I adore you, and he replied, Amen, he is liable. The oath of testimony applies to men, but not to women, to not relatives, and not to relatives, but those who qualified are not to those who, but not to those who disqualified, and applies only to those fit to testify both in court and out of court. By his own mouth, if he endured by others, they are not liable unless they deny it in court. These are the words of Rameir, but the could come and say whether he swears by his own mouth or whether he's endured by others, they are not liable unless they deny in court. Okay.
So here is the design base.
Like the top bottle that they make, 3 different versions. The top version, which we didn't get, we got the next one in line. Was that you can go in water. You can swim with them if you want, shower. You don't have to, My wife says, first of all, I'd be afraid that I wouldn't go on the beach with them. She says, no one does that. But if you go into a pool, you should be able to find it. There are these little things, let's swim around at the bottom of the pool to look for it. That's it. We'll take the one below that. We're not going to use them in the water. So, okay, Zion Aleph. 4 executive
design base.
2 mistakes already. This is the procedure for those who are burned. They place him in a menorah up to his knees and place a coarse coffer inside a soft one and wind it around his neck. And this one pulls toward himself, and this one pulls toward himself until he opens his mouth. One melts a bar of lead and pours it into his mouth, and it descends into his bowels and burns his intestines. Rabbi Yehuda says if he dies in their hands, they have not fulfilled the commandment of burning. Rather, they force open his mouth with tongs. One melts the bar and pours it into his mouth, and it descends into his bowels and burns his intestines. Said Rabbi Elazar ben Zadok, it once occurred with the daughter of a Kohen that she admitted all adultery, and they surrounded her with bundles of branches, and they burned her. And they said to him, because the court at that time was not expert.
In other words, they were tzedukkim.
This is the procedure for those who are beheaded. They decapitate him with a sword on the manner of which the government does. Rabbi Yehuda says this is a disgrace. Rather, they place his head on a block and cut her off with an axe. They said to him, there is no more disgraceful manner of death than this. This is the procedure for those who are strangled. They place him in menorah up to his knees and place a coarse scarf inside a soft one and wind it around his neck. And this one pulls toward himself, and this one pulls toward himself until his life departs. Okay. These are the men who are stoned, one who habitates with his mother or his father's wife or his daughter-in-law, or with a male or an animal, or a woman who brings an animal upon herself, a blasphemer, an idolater, one who offers up of his children to Molech, a practitioner of oath, and of Yidoni, one who desecrates the Sabbath, one who curses his father and mother, one who cohabitates with a betrothed Na'ara, one who instigates an individual to idolatry, one who leads astray an entire town, a sorcerer, and a Ben Sora Amora. One who cohabitates with his mother is liable for having transgressed the prohibitions of a mother and a father's wife. But Yehuda says he is liable only for a mother. One who cohabitates with his father's wife is liable for a father's wife and for adultery, both during his father's lifetime and after his death, or whether she was betrothed or married. One who cohabitates with his daughter-in-law is liable for his daughter-in-law and for adultery, both during his son's lifetime and after his death, whether she was betrothed or married. one who cohabitates with another man or an animal or a woman who brings an animal upon herself, if the person sinned, what did the animal sin? But because a person came to disaster through it, Scripture said that it should be stolen. In addition, so that it should not occur that the animal passes in the street and people say, "This is the one who through whom so and so was stoned." Okay.
Okay, Baba Kama.
If one, hey, Gimel. If one brings his bull into another's yard without permission, and the other person's bull gores it, or the other person's dog bites it, he is exempt. If he gores the other person's bull, the owner of the goring bull is liable. If it falls into his pit and makes its water foul, he is liable. If his father or his son was in it, it pays ransom. But if he brings it in with permission, the owner of the yard is liable. Rebbe says, in no case is he liable unless he accepts to watch. If a bull aims for another bull and strikes a woman, forcing her to abort, the owner is exempt from paying the value of the fetus. But if a person aims for another person and strikes a woman, causing her to abort, he pays the value of the fetus. Why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he be responsible for if he aims for another bull and strikes a woman, causing to abort, and his owner is exempt from paying the value of the fetus? Why? He still killed somebody. You know, it was an accident.
He still has. He will have to. First of all, this is the shore. It's
right.
Not a person. Right. So if a shore was trying to gore another shore, and instead it hit a woman. So Gemara explains that Shema Shenachta Mishna Shor Shehaya Miskavin Lechaver Lav Davka Sheken Hu Hadin Afilu Shehaya Miskavin Leisha Shedbal Hashor Patur Midmei Velados Ela Hoil VeHaMishna Tzricha Leshanos Lashem Zo Adam Shehaya Miskavin Lechavero. Okay, so first of all, the Dmei Velados, the payment for the loss of the child is why is it okay? It seems like it's a gezeres hakassav that it's only a person who causes the damages who's liable for this, but if a shore if a shore caused the damage, then apparently it is patur. So as a matter of fact, it's not only if the shore was aiming for another shore. It's even if the shore charged the woman directly.
Right.
That if the shore Chas v'shalom killed the woman, then the shore gets killed. But if it just causes her to abort, then there's no and there's no other damage than that. Then the owner is patur. Whereas if a person did that, then he would have to pay for it. That seems to be a gezeres hakassav about causing an abortion.
It seems to be unfair to the woman and to the fetus.
Well, the fetus doesn't get a say in it; he's dead. But yeah, the mother and father are the ones who lose out. But apparently there is no.
But then it goes on to say, how does one pay the value of the fetus? We appraise how much the woman was worth before giving birth and how much she is worth since she gave birth. Rabbi said that would mean she probably was worth less, I guess. Said Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, if so, when the woman gives birth, she increases in value.
Because why she increases in value? Because when a woman is pregnant, there's a non-zero chance that she's going to have complications in pregnancy and get injured or die.
Right.
So that makes her less valuable when she's pregnant.
Rather, we appraise how much the fetus was worth, and he gives it to the household. If she has no husband, he gives it to his heirs. If she had been a slave, she was freed, proselyte, he is exempt. Okay. If one digs a pit in private domain and opens it into a public domain, if he digs in a domain and opens it into a private domain, or if he digs it in a private domain and opens it into another private domain, he's liable. If one digs a pit in a public domain and a bull or he falls into it and dies, he is liable. whether one digs a pit, trench, cave, quadrangular pits, or wedge-like ditches, he is liable. If so, why is it stated? To teach us that just as a pit is deep enough to cause death, being 10 to fuck them, and so is everything that is deep enough to bring about death. Being 10 handbreadths, if they are less than 10 handbreadths deep, and a bull or a donkey fell in it and died, he is exempt. If it is injured, he is liable.
Yeah.
All right. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. On to Tanis. Tanis Beit The Kohanim of the Mismar are permitted to drink wine at night, but not during the day. The Kohanim of the Beis Av drink wine during the day or at night. The Kohanim of the Mishmar and the men of the Mamad are prohibited from haircutting and laundering. However, on Thursday, these activities are permitted in honor of Shabbos. Whenever it is written in the scroll of fast not to eulogize on a particular day, the day before it, fasting is forbidden, and on the day after, fasting is permitted. Rabbi Yoshi says both before and after fasting is forbidden. Concerning days about which it is written in the scroll of fast, not to fast on them, both before and after them, fasting is permitted. Rabbi Yoshi says before them, fasting is forbidden, and after them, fasting is permitted. We may not decree upon the community of a series of fasts commencing on Thursday so as not to cause a rise in the market prices. Rather, the first 3 fasts are on Monday, Thursday, and Monday. The second 3 are Thursday, Monday, and Thursday. So Rabbi Yoshi says, just as the first these fasts are not to commence on Thursday, so too neither the second 3 fasts nor the final fast may commence on Thursday. Okay. Wouldn't it be nice to have some of those? Be nice to have some of those Megillas, like about the fast and about the wars.
Yeah.
Okay, Demai. Demai, we have Gimel Vav.
Yes.
Here we are. If one gives to his mother-in-law, he tithes what he gives to her, and he receives from her, because she is suspected of exchanging what is spoiled. Rabbi Yehuda says she seeks to favor her daughter and feels ashamed before her son-in-law. Rabbi Yehuda agrees that if one gives his mother-in-law produce of the sabbatical year, she is not suspected of exchanging it and giving her daughter produce of the sabbatical year to eat. If one buys produce from a person who is not trustworthy concerning Masrit and forgot to tithe it, and he asked him on the Sabbath, he may eat upon his word. And if the nightfall of the end of the Sabbath, he may not eat until they have tithed it. If he did not find them, and one who is not trustworthy in regard to Masrit and said, it is tithed, he may eat upon his word. After nightfall at the end of the Sabbath, he may not eat until it is tithed, and if Trumas Maisa of the Mai reverted to its original location, Reb Shimon Sasuri says he asked him even on a weekday, and he may eat upon his word. If one adores his friend to eat with him, and he does not trust him regarding tithes, he eats with him on the first Sabbath, even though he does not trust him regarding tithes, provided he has said to him, it is tithe. And on the second Sabbath, even if he vowed not to derive any benefit from him, he may not eat until he tithes. Okay. And we are up to Caleb. I think we had something coming after Caleb, right?
Next volume of Caleb. Caleb is a super long one.
Get this thing.
You've got multiple volumes of the same.
I have to get it. If one of the feet was removed, the remaining feet contract tumah via contact, but do not contract tumah via airspace. These are the words of Reb Meir. Reb Shimon rules them tahor. If he made 2 feet and opposite the other, they contract tumah via contact via airspace. These are the words of Reb Meir, and Reb Shimon rules them tahor. If they were higher than 3 finger breadths, then from the 3 finger breadths and downward, they contract tumah via contact and via airspace, and from them 3 finger breadths and upward, they contract tumah via contact, but do not contract tumah via airspace. These are the words of Reb Meir. Reb Shimon rules them tahor. If the feet extended beyond the edge, and everything within the 3 finger breadths contracts tumah via contact and via airspace, while everything outside the 3 finger breadths contacts tumah via contact, but does not contact tumah via airspace. And these are the words of Reb Meir. Reb Shimon rules the tahor. These are the 3 finger breadths measured. How are they measured? Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says the ruler is placed between the feet, and everything from the ruler and outward is tahor, while everything from the ruler and inward, including the place of the ruler, is tameh. Okay, let me get the other volume. It's right here.
Okay.
And we have here. Regarding an oven that is partitioned with boards or with curtains, if the sheretz is found in one compartment, everything is tamei. Regarding a damaged basket plugged up with straw and hanging into the airface of the oven, if a sheretz is in the basket, the oven is tamei. If the sheretz is in the oven, any food that is inside the basket is tamei. But Reb Eliezer Ruzatahu. Reb Eliezer said, if the container affords protection in the more severe case of a corpse, should it not afford protection in the more lenient case of an earthenware utensil? They said to him, if it affords protection in the more severe case of a corpse, then it is because we can divide tents. Should it then afford protection in the more lenient case of an earthenware utensil, given that we cannot divide an earthenware vessel? Utensil. Okay.
Okay. Good.
I saw a good movie yesterday. I mean, good. It was good. It was a story about